Many English learners struggle with speaking fluently because they overthink every sentence before saying it. This hesitation happens due to fear of making mistakes, lack of vocabulary, or simply not being used to thinking in English. The key to overcoming this barrier is simple. Stop thinking, start talking. When you were a child learning your first language, you didn't analyze grammar rules before speaking. You just spoke. Similarly, to improve your spoken English, you must let go of overthinking and start practicing naturally. This guide will take you through beginner, intermediate, and advanced strategies to help you develop confidence, fluency, and spontaneity in speaking English. Now, let's dive into the step-by-step techniques you can follow to stop overthinking and start speaking. Why do we overthink while speaking English? There are several reasons why people hesitate before speaking in English. Fear of making mistakes. You don't want to sound silly or incorrect. Lack of vocabulary. You don't know the right words to express yourself. Translating from your native language. You think in your mother tongue and try to translate into English. Lack of practice. You are not used to speaking regularly. Low confidence. You believe that your English is not good enough. But think about this. How did you learn to speak your first language? As a child, you didn't worry about grammar. You didn't translate words. You just listened and spoke naturally. That's exactly how you should approach speaking English. Stop thinking, start talking. This guide will help you break the habit of overthinking. Speak confidently without hesitation. Practice English in a natural and effective way. Let's go step by step. Beginner level. How to start speaking without overthinking if you are a beginner. Your main goal is to build confidence and speak without fear. Step 1. Speak even if it's not perfect. Many learners wait until they feel perfect before speaking, but perfection is a myth. Native speakers make grammar mistakes too. Nobody speaks a language perfectly all the time. The more you speak, the faster you will improve. What should you do? Don't focus on correctness. Focus on expressing yourself in any way possible. Even if your sentences are short or incorrect, say them anyway. Example: instead of thinking, I want to say something, but I'm not sure about the grammar. Just say it. I go to market yesterday. Mistake, but understandable. I went to the market yesterday. Correct? The mistake doesn't stop communication. The more you speak, the better you get. Step 2. Think in English, not in your native language. The biggest reason for hesitation is translation. If you think in your native language first, then translate to English, it takes too long. By the time you finish translating, the conversation has already moved on. Native speakers don't think about grammar rules. They just speak. How to train your brain to think in English. Step 1. Name objects around you in English. Look at a chair and think, chair, not the word in your native language. Look at your phone and think, phone. Do this for everything you see. Step 2. Think in short sentences. Instead of translating, form simple English thoughts. Don't think, I am feeling hungry. How do I say this in English? Think directly in English. I am hungry. Step 3. Describe your actions. I am brushing my teeth. I am making coffee. I am walking to work. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes. Step 3. Use simple phrases and fixed responses. When speaking English, you don't always need to create full sentences from scratch. Many daily conversations use common phrases that don't require thinking. Memorize these ready-made responses. Situation, simple English response. Someone says, "How are you?" "I'm good, thanks." You didn't hear something, "Sorry, can you repeat that?" You agree with someone, "That's true." "I think so." You don't know something, "I'm not sure." "I have no idea." These automatic responses help you talk without thinking. Intermediate level. Developing fluency and confidence. Now that you're comfortable speaking, let's work on speed and fluency. Step 4. Use the 1-minute rule. One great trick to stop overthinking is the 1-minute speaking exercise. How to do it. Pick a random topic, e.g., my daily routine. Set a timer for 1 minute. Speak without stopping. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes, just keep talking. Example, overthinking. I want to talk about my morning, but I don't know the right words. Just say it. I wake up at 7 a.m., then I brush teeth. I drink coffee, I go to work. Work is busy. I eat lunch at 1 p.m. The goal is not perfect English. The goal is to speak continuously. Step 5. Learn through imitation, shadowing technique. Fluency comes from repeating what native speakers say. How to do shadowing. Pick a short English video or podcast. Listen to one sentence. Immediately repeat it out loud. Copy the speaker's pronunciation and speed. This improves. Checkmark speaking speed. Checkmark pronunciation. Checkmark natural rhythm of English advanced level. Mastering spontaneous speaking. Now you want to think quickly and respond naturally in conversations. Step 6. Train your brain for fast thinking. Your goal is to answer instantly without hesitation. Practice with rapid questions. Set a 30-second timer. Answer random questions as fast as possible. Example. Questions. What's your favorite food? Describe your best friend. If you could travel anywhere, where would you go? Don't stop to think, just speak. Step 7. Use filler words to sound natural. Native speakers use filler words when they need time to think. Examples. Well, you know, actually, let me think. Instead of staying silent, use fillers to sound natural while thinking. Tip 8. Focus on communication, not grammar. One of the biggest mistakes learners make is worrying too much about grammar while speaking. Overthinking. Is this sentence in past tense or present perfect? Should I say a or an before this word? What to do instead? Focus on getting your message across, even if the grammar is not 100% perfect. Remember, people will understand you even if you make small mistakes. Example. Overthinking. Yesterday I had go. No, I went to the market. Just say, yesterday I go to market. Mistake, but understandable. Yesterday I went to the market. Correct. Key rule. Mistakes are okay. If you speak, you will improve. If you stay silent, you won't. Tip 9. Avoid translating in your head. Many learners think in their native language first, then try to translate into English. This slows you down and causes hesitation. Slow thinking. Thinking in your language. Translating. Speaking. By the time you finish translating, the conversation has moved on. Fast thinking. Think directly in English. Speak naturally. How to train your brain to think in English. Start small. Think of objects in English. Instead of thinking mesa in Spanish, think table. Describe your surroundings. The sky is blue. I see a car. Talk to yourself in English. What should I eat today? Maybe a sandwich. Key rule: the faster you start thinking in English, the faster you will speak fluently. Tip 10. Master common conversation to starters. Many conversations in English start the same way. If you prepare automatic responses, you won't need to think before answering. Memorize these simple responses. Question easy response. How are you? I'm good, thanks. How about you? What do you do? I'm a student. I work in IT. Where are you from? I'm from Brazil. What do you like to do? I love watching movies and playing football. Key rule: have pre-made sentences ready for common situations. Tip 11. Use the this or that trick to speak faster. If you don't know how to describe something, compare it to something similar. Example: don't think, how do I say sunset in English? I can't remember the word. Just say, the sky is orange. It looks like when the sun goes down. People will understand. More examples. If you don't know the word for, say this instead: watermelon. It's a big fruit, red inside, sweet, with black seeds. Laptop. It's like a small computer you can carry. Elevator. It's the thing that goes up and down in a building. Key rule: instead of stopping, explain with simple words. Tip 12. Speak in short, simple sentences. A big reason learners hesitate is because they try to make long, complex sentences. Difficult sentence. Yesterday, I wanted to go to the supermarket because I needed to buy some vegetables. But then I realized that I had forgotten my wallet, so I had to go back home first. Easy version. Yesterday, I wanted to go to the supermarket. I needed vegetables, but I forgot my wallet. So, I went home first. Break long thoughts into small sentences. Key rule: shorter sentences equal faster speaking. Tip 13. Use filler words when you need time to think. Native speakers don't speak perfectly. They use filler words like well dot dot. You know? Actually, I mean, let me think. Example: without fillers. Sounds unnatural. Yesterday I went to the market. I bought apples. Then I met my friend. We talked about school. With fillers, sounds natural. Well, yesterday, I went to the market. Actually, I bought some apples. Then, let me think. Yeah, I met my friend and we talked about school. Key rule: use fillers to buy time and sound more natural. Tip 14. Ask questions to keep the conversation going. Many learners don't know how to continue a conversation. The trick? Ask simple questions. Example: conversation. Without asking questions, the conversation dies. A. Hey, how was your weekend? B. It was good. Awkward silence. With questions, keeps the conversation alive. A. Hey, how was your weekend? B. It was good. I went to the beach. What about you? Use simple follow-up questions. How about you? What do you think? Really? Tell me more. Key rule: conversations are like ping pong. Keep them going by asking questions. Tip 15. Talk about topics you love. If you talk about things that interest you, you will speak naturally. How to use this tip. 1. Pick a topic you love: movies, music, sports, travel, food. 2. Learn 5 to 10 common words related to it. Practice talking about it out loud. Example: if you love football, learn words like goal, team, match, stadium, score. Practice: I love football. My favorite team is Barcelona. I watch matches every weekend. Key rule: the more excited you are about a topic, the easier it is to speak. Final thoughts. The secret to speaking without thinking. Recap of the most important strategies. Forget about perfection. Speak anyway. Think in English, not in your native language. Learn common phrases to answer quickly. Use this or that trick when you don't know a word. Keep sentences short and simple. Use filler words to sound natural. Ask questions to keep conversations flowing. Talk about topics you love. The more you practice, the faster and more natural your English will become. Your challenge? Pick one tip from this list and start using it today. So, stop thinking and start talking. Would you like more practice exercises or real-life conversation examples? Hello, my dear friends. Today, I want to share a story with you. A story that will help you overcome one of the biggest problems in learning English: overthinking before speaking. Many of us understand English. We know words. We even form sentences in our minds. But when it comes to speaking, we hesitate. We think too much about grammar, pronunciation, and making mistakes. This overthinking stops us from actually talking. I know this because I went through the same struggle. I used to think a lot before saying even a single sentence in English. I worried about whether my grammar was correct, whether people would laugh at my mistakes, or if I would get stuck mid-sentence. But one day, I realized that the key to speaking English fluently was not thinking too much. It was just speaking. In this story, I will take you on a journey with a boy who faced the same problem. He understood English but couldn't speak confidently. His mind was filled with fear, doubt, and hesitation. But then, something changed. He learned an important lesson. Stop thinking, start talking. So, my dear friends, sit back, relax, and enjoy this story. I promise it will be simple, easy to understand, and most importantly, it will help you overcome your fear of speaking English. The story begins, "Hi, my name is Alex. I want to tell you about a time when I struggled with speaking English. I knew English. I understood movies, songs, and even books. But when someone asked me a question in English, I froze. My mind went blank. I would think about the perfect sentence, but by the time I figured it out, the conversation had already moved on. One day, my friend Sarah noticed my problem. She was fluent in English, and she never hesitated while speaking. She asked me, "Alex, why don't you speak in English?" I sighed. "I don't know, Sarah. I understand English, but when I try to talk, I get stuck. I keep thinking about grammar and whether my sentence is correct or not." Sarah smiled and shook her head. "That's your problem, Alex. You think too much. English is not a subject in an exam. It's a language. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to speak." "But what if I make mistakes?" I asked. She laughed. "So what? Everyone makes mistakes. Even native speakers make mistakes. The important thing is to communicate. People will understand you, even if your grammar isn't perfect. Her words made sense, but I still hesitated. She decided to prove her point. "Let's make a deal," she said. "For the next 1 hour, we will only speak in English, no matter what. Even if you make mistakes, you will keep talking. No stopping, no thinking, just talking." I hesitated, but finally agreed. At first, I was slow. I paused a lot, searching for the right words. But Sarah encouraged me to keep going. "Don't stop. Just say whatever comes to your mind," she said. As I continued talking, something amazing happened. I stopped thinking too much. I started enjoying the conversation. My sentences weren't perfect, but they were understandable. The more I spoke, the easier it became. After an hour, Sarah smiled and said, "See? You can do it. You just needed to stop thinking and start talking." That day changed my perspective on speaking English. I realized that fluency is not about knowing perfect grammar. It's about confidence and practice. From that day, I made a rule for myself. I would speak English every day without overthinking. Whether it was with friends, in front of a mirror, or even talking to myself, I made sure to keep speaking. And guess what? In just a few months, my English improved more than it ever had before. The fear of speaking disappeared. Now I can talk freely without hesitation. After that day with Sarah, I decided to change my approach completely. Instead of thinking about speaking, I focused on actually speaking. I set small daily goals for myself. The first goal was simple: speak at least 5 sentences in English every day. It didn't matter if they were wrong, incomplete, or even funny. I just had to say them out loud. At first, it was difficult. My mind was still trying to correct every sentence before I spoke. But then, I reminded myself of Sarah's advice. Don't stop, just say whatever comes to your mind. So, I started small. When I woke up in the morning, I looked in the mirror and said, "Good morning, Alex. Today is a beautiful day." It felt strange at first, but I continued. When I made tea, I spoke to myself. "I am making tea. It smells so good." If I was walking, I described things around me in English. "The sky is blue. The weather is nice today." Slowly, my confidence grew. The more I spoke, the more comfortable I felt. I stopped caring about grammar mistakes. My only goal was to express myself. A new challenge one day, I was at a cafe, sitting alone and practicing English in my mind. Suddenly, I heard a foreign tourist asking the waiter for directions, but the waiter didn't understand him. A new challenge one day, I was at a cafe, sitting alone and practicing English in my mind. Suddenly, I heard a foreign tourist asking the waiter for directions, but the waiter didn't understand him. My heart started beating fast. Should I help? Should I speak? For a moment, the old Alex returned. I started overthinking. What if I said something wrong? What if the tourist didn't understand me? But then I remembered my rule. Stop thinking, start talking. So I took a deep breath and said, "Excuse me, do you need help?" The tourist smiled. "Yes, I'm looking for the nearest bus station." I quickly replied, "Oh, the bus station is 2 streets ahead. Walk straight, and then turn right. He understood me. He thanked me, and I felt an amazing sense of achievement. That small conversation gave me so much confidence. I realized that even if my sentences weren't perfect, people could still understand me. From that day, I started speaking to more people. At grocery stores, I asked questions in English. At restaurants, I placed my orders in English. I even joined an online group where people from different countries practiced speaking. Every conversation, no matter how small, helped me get better. I made mistakes, but instead of feeling bad, I laughed at them and learned from them. My dear friends, let me take you further into my journey because I know many of you still feel hesitant. You might be thinking, it worked for Alex, but will it work for me? I understand. I had the same doubts. But let me share more of my experience because I want you to believe that you, too, can speak English fluently. Facing my biggest fear after my conversation with Sarah's cousin, I felt proud. But deep inside, I knew there was one more fear I needed to overcome: speaking in front of a group. Speaking to one person was easy now, but talking to multiple people? That was different. What if I got stuck? What if I made mistakes in front of everyone? One day, Sarah invited me to an English conversation club. She said, "Alex, it's time for your next challenge." I hesitated. "Sarah, I don't know. What if I embarrass myself?" She laughed. "Embarrass yourself? You already speak better than you did months ago. Remember your rule. Stop thinking, start talking." I took a deep breath and agreed to go. When I arrived, I saw a group of people sitting in a circle. They were from different countries, all practicing English. Some spoke fluently, while others struggled, just like I had before. The host of the club welcomed me and said, "Alex, would you like to introduce yourself?" My heart pounded. This was it. No more thinking, just talking. I smiled and said, "Hi, my name is Alex. I used to be afraid of speaking English, but now I enjoy it. I believe the best way to improve is to stop thinking and start talking." Everyone smiled and nodded. Some even clapped. That moment gave me so much confidence. As the discussion continued, I participated. I made some grammar mistakes, but no one laughed. No one corrected me rudely. They just listened. And that's when I realized something. People don't care if your English is perfect. They care about understanding you. After the session, a man from the group came to me and said, "Alex, I liked what you said about stop thinking, start talking. I struggle with English too, but your words inspired me." That was the moment I knew I had truly changed. Not only was I speaking fluently, but I was also inspiring others. Speaking without fear. From that day on, I stopped fearing English. I spoke whenever I got the chance. At work, I gave a small presentation in English. It wasn't perfect, but my boss appreciated my effort. At a restaurant, I helped a foreigner order food. He smiled and thanked me. One night, I even dreamed in English. That's when I knew English was no longer a scary subject. It was a part of my life. Final words for you, my dear friends. I started just like you, afraid, hesitant, overthinking. But I changed, and if I can do it, so can you. Here's my advice. Speak every day, even if it's just to yourself. Don't wait for perfect grammar. Mistakes help you learn. Join a group, make friends, and practice together. Most importantly, stop thinking, start talking. I believe in you. I know you can do it. Just start speaking today, and one day, you'll tell your own story, just like I told mine. Thank you, my dear friends, for listening to my journey. Now it's your turn. Go out there and speak.